Nikki Barnes. We're very happy to be back with you guys today. Last time we were here, we talked about Marissa's motivations and values, and this time we're going to learn a little bit about how they're implemented in the workplace, as well as how she uses her influence and power over her employees at Yahoo. And now you guys are going to meet the rest of the gang.
Hi, I'm Mike, and I talked about Marissa's use of power and influence tactics.
Hi, I'm Wendy. I did research on Marissa's leadership styles.
I'm Martha, and I researched the organizational culture at Yahoo.
And I'm Dylan, and I took a look at Marissa's decision making.
So tonight I'll be talking with 3 former employees who worked under Marissa Mayer. Our first employee worked under Marissa at Google. Can you tell us a little about her leadership style?
Yeah, Marissa Mayer is both a transformational leader and charismatic leaders. And she used to hold office hours in when she was at Google office, and about 90 minutes a day. Its employees can add their names to a board outside of her office to set up an appointment with her, and those office hours were very important because it offers her followers an opportunity to show their ideas, and Marissa also can give feedbacks on her team members and all on the pitch ideas. And Marissa also said that it's like many good ideas comes from those office hours, and our employees always received good advice during office hours. And
Do you think it was effective for her to micromanage everybody, or do you think this type of having office hours only helps certain people?
I think it's like certain people can benefit from this benefits from these office hours, because not everyone gets the chance to visit her during the office hour. But I think this is also shows her charismatic leadership skills, because she's self-confident and willing to take responsibilities, and she's always been a strong model, because she's creating versions for how women can achieve success and redefine the traditional gender roles that kind of hold the women back in the workplace. And then she also helped to motivate the working women to push harder to achieve their goals.
So would you say that her charisma was positive in the workplace at Google?
Sure.
Great. Thank you for speaking with us tonight.
Thank you.
What type of leadership did you see in Marissa?
Yeah, she's absolutely authentic leaderships, because her followers can identify with the difficult balancing act that Marissa is engaged in, and they regard her with respect and wish to emulate her ambition and accomplishments. And she also inspires the followers to high level of performance, and she also has individual considerations on followers, and she shows her concerns for each follower's individual needs, and she acts as a coach and a mentor somehow.
How would you describe Marissa's leadership style?
Marissa definitely cares more about production than what people think of her. She definitely just wants you to get done what she instructs you to do. She doesn't really care too much. At least that I got the impression that she doesn't really want her followers to even like support her, just as long as they get done what she says. She has very like tight control over what she instructs people to do, and she just wants them done effectively and efficiently, and doesn't even really consider creativity that big a deal.
So you'd say she's task oriented just because she's more satisfied when people are getting things done?
Yeah, she's definitely task oriented, much more than a people person. She gets gratified more so by accomplishing tasks and doing work rather than knowing that people are having a good time or working as a team per se.
So would you say that she would be a better manager than, say, an actual leader of a company?
Yeah, definitely a much better manager than leader. She doesn't really do a great job of necessarily influencing her followers rather than just instructing them what exactly to do. So I'd say she'd be a pretty effective manager, but not so much leader.
Okay, thank you. So tonight I'm here with a Yahoo employee who recently exited Yahoo. Can you tell us about Marissa Mayer's leadership style?
Yeah, for me personally, I believe she had more of an autocratic style of leadership. I'd say her overall focus was just getting work done. By this, she kind of used strong, directive, and controlling actions to enforce the rules. She was very big on regulations. She looked after everyone's activities, and she kind of managed the relationships in the workplace. I would say that the followers of her at Yahoo had very little influence. It was mostly her. Even if someone was working on a project, she was the one micromanaging it. You never felt like you were really making the decisions yourself. She was a big fan of direct and close supervision. For example, back in 2014, she made the decision to take everyone that was working around the country. For example, if a salesperson was working in Colorado or one of the coders was working in California, she made the executive decision to bring everyone into the Yahoo office every day. So those employees either had to decide to move closer to the Yahoo office or to resign, and this resulted in Yahoo losing a lot of employees. So that's just a way that she liked to involve herself, and by this she could involve herself in reviewing every new hire and every decision the company makes. This kind of sends a signal that she doesn't really trust what other management's doing and that she really wants to supervise everyone at all times. So she's really concerned with the big picture and the strategic views. So any slowdown in decision making by forming a bottleneck, so she really just wants to be there making all the decisions.
So you would say she was an ineffective leader? Or is an effective leader at Yahoo?
I would say she was an effective leader, but not in the right way. I think the way that she was a leader would work some places, but not at Yahoo.
Okay.
It was more of a laid-back environment before she got there, and when she came in, it became more of a military academy.
Okay, thank you.
Today we have the head of HR at Yahoo. Would you mind telling me a little bit about Yahoo's culture?
Sure, so Yahoo definitely has a fit culture perspective because it's critical that we're only good if we fit within our industry. The tech industry is always growing and changing, so really we need to adapt to that, and as long as that we can stay current and relevant in that industry, we'll be successful as a company. So one thing that Marissa Mayer has done as a leader, she's really focused on growth and growing Yahoo's firm as a whole. So in the beginning of her tenure as CEO, she bought a lot of companies and there was a lot of M&A activity with Yahoo, which was really tough for the culture because it's hard to integrate the culture of other companies into Yahoo. So that was definitely a challenge. And then another thing that we've done to stay relevant is try to keep up with like the growing industry. So like for example, we acquired Tumblr, and just making sure that we're staying relevant.
Okay, and then within that, could you maybe go into a little more detail about the elements of the culture?
Sure, so a few things that we've done to really build up and have a good culture at Yahoo is different initiatives such as the PBJ program, which allows people to give suggestions on how we can make Yahoo a better place to work. So that's been a really good way for Yahoo to break down the bureaucracy and get more initiatives from others who work at Yahoo.
Awesome. Okay, and then finally, do you think that Marissa Mayer's values and her attitudes are reflected within Yahoo's culture?
Positively. So I think the leader plays a really large role in what the corporate culture is like. So for example, it's pretty widely known that Marissa really values productivity. So here at Yahoo, we're really focused on being productive and like getting as much done as possible and making sure that we can perform very strong. So I would say that Marissa's leadership style and her values and attitudes are definitely reflected in our companies, which some people have thought of as negative because it's very focused on productivity and she's not always the most caring person in the world as a leader. But I think that it's important for a company to be successful if we have a leader like that.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Okay, so as a recent college graduate, tell us a little bit about what you know about the culture at Yahoo.
So I think the culture has changed a little bit since Marissa Meyer took over. I think it's a little bit more democratic. I think that it's a little bit hard to really show your place there. I think that she kind of has a tight grasp on everyone. I think as a college graduate looking for my first job, I don't think it would be the ideal spot to start out in, just because I feel like it would be harder to climb the corporate ladder there.
Okay, well maybe later on once you've established a career or at least a little, like built your resume a little bit, would you ever consider going there?
I think the only problem with Yahoo right now is it's kind of a struggling company and there really isn't a bright future for it that we know of right now. With that being said, they still only hire the top talent, and if you are top talent, it'd be better to take your talent somewhere else, some more lucrative startup firm in the Silicon Valley area. You definitely make more money, you'd be able to make a name for yourself, and it'd be easier to climb up the corporate ladder and gain valuable experience to take to another firm down the road if you need to, whereas at Yahoo, you might be stuck working under Marissa and really have a hard time showing what you're capable of.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're an employee who's been with Yahoo since before Marissa Mayer's time. Can you tell me a little bit about how her coming on has affected the culture of the company?
Yeah, so Marissa took a lot of initiative originally to change the bureaucracy of Yahoo's culture, what it was. She tried to make it much more democratic and hired people on to try to fulfill that. And she just tried to bring on a lot of new perspectives and just change the culture for a positive way.
Awesome, thank you.
I do want to talk a little bit about Marissa Mayer's decision about bought Tumblr for $1.1 billion back to 2013.
Yeah, so the acquisition of Tumblr back in 2013 was Marissa's first big decision at Yahoo, and it's 2015 now, and the decision really hasn't paid off yet. Back in 2013, when Tumblr was acquired by Yahoo, it was only pulling in $13 million in revenues, and they bought it for $1.1 billion, so that's quite a multiple that they paid for it. Like I said before, it's 2 years later, it hasn't paid off yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is because the acquisition overall lacked synergies and only added confusion to the overall struggling, atmosphere Yahoo had. And if you look at the traffic to Tumblr, it's only increased about a third since the acquisition. So that's really not a large growth rate in 2 years.
So as an equity analyst, do you think that is a good decision or a bad decision?
I don't think it's a good decision, and I really don't think anyone that's involved in the markets thinks it's a good decision right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to hear an investor say that he became bullish back in 2013 when the acquisition happened just because it happened. It may have played a part in the stock price rising for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but overall I don't think it has a big impact on the company now. That's not to say 5 years down the road from now we may see some action, but right now it's not looking like it was an overall good decision.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so recently Marissa made the decision to have employees who are working remotely move back to the office, and obviously you're someone who's affected by that. Can you tell me a little bit about how you feel about that decision and if you think it was a good one or not?
I don't think it was a very effective decision for me personally, and I know that a lot of other Yahoo employees did not take the decision very well by Marissa. So Yahoo was seen as a struggling company, and when Marissa came in, she was supposed to be a very innovative leader, and I think that requiring all employees to come back to the office isn't a very innovative step on her part, but it really does reflect her values and her attitude, because she is a person who likes control, and I think that by having all of us in the office, she definitely has more control over us. So overall, I don't think this was a group decision, and she didn't really appear to implement the rational model when she was deciding, because she didn't think about the alternatives or think about ways that she could maximize communication and collaboration. And I also think that this decision is reflective of the fact that she doesn't practice servant leadership, which can be displayed by the fact that although she thought she was building community by bringing us all back into the office, with technology today, you really don't need to have everybody in the office, and that it would be okay if we were working remotely, because I think it would still allow us to be collaborative and have a community. So I think that in order to be a servant leader, you should try to build a community in your firm, and this is not something that she did through this decision. She was also not very persuasive with her decision to move to servant leader, to move to everybody being back in the office, because she kind of just told us all that this is the way it was going to be. She didn't really give us any type of choice or show any empathy or listen to us when we told her that it wouldn't be the best decision for the firm as a whole.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm here today with the portfolio manager of an activist hedge fund with a large stake in Yahoo. Can you walk us through Marissa and Yahoo's future decision of what to do with its $30 billion stake in Alibaba?
Yeah, absolutely. So their decision-making process is really going to come down to 8 steps. The first is going to be recognizing the problem and the need for a decision. So really what that comes down to is Yahoo right now is sitting on a $30 billion stake in Alibaba, and really their decision is to what to do with it. They can't sit on it forever. They're going to have to distribute it to shareholders, or they're going to have to figure a spin out or take it an IPO after they spin it off, something. The second step is going to be identify the objective for the decision, and this decision really stems from the need to create value for the shareholders. As a shareholder in Yahoo, they are upset that they're sitting on this $30 billion stake. That's cash that they cannot use. If they free up that cash, they can pursue more acquisitions, which we know Marissa has been very heavy on. They could start buying back shares. Yahoo stock is down right now, so it'd be a great time to start buying back shares. Or they could pursue other ventures and kind of branch out the Yahoo name, because it is kind of a laggard when it comes to the equity markets right now. And then moving on to the third decision she's going to have to make, the third step of the decision-making process, I guess I should say, is she's going to have to gather and evaluate data and diagnose the situation. So really what that comes down to is figuring out the best way to get rid of that $30 billion stake in Alibaba and also not assume the most taxes. So really what that means is Yahoo is either going to have to spin off Alibaba and make it into their own holding company. They want to make it into a Baco holding company, and they want to take that public. But that also could have tax implements. They're going to be hit with a 10% tax most likely. So if it's a $30 billion company, 10% tax, I mean, you don't know what that's going to be. The tax rate can change, or they're going to have to figure out some other way. So then the fourth step would be list and evaluate the alternatives. So like I said, they could either spin off the $30 billion stake into Abaco Holdings as a separate holding company in order to get tax release, and that spin-off would be a publicly traded company that includes Yahoo's small businesses. A lot of people are skeptical of this, including myself and my company. We believe that the future tax rates, we're not really sure what they're going to be like. We're not sure what the implementation is going to be, and ultimately we're not sure how much of that $30 billion Yahoo is going to be able to distribute back to its shareholders if they go with the Baco Holdings. Our idea is for Yahoo to actually sell their core business, so everything everyone associates Yahoo with. So the search engine, Yahoo Finance, the advertising business, and only keep Yahoo Japan and their stake in Alibaba. And with this, Yahoo would have $30 billion, ultimately tax-free, where they could start a new phase for themselves. Marissa could start acquiring new companies. They could become something new, something fun, something fresh that the shareholders are going to be appreciative of. And then after that, they're really going to have to, the fifth step comes down to selecting the best course of action. I know Marissa and current management at Yahoo believes that, spinning off the $30 billion stake and creating Abaco Holdings is the correct decision, and then take that public in order to raise capital. But myself and my firm believes that that's also going to have very heavy tax implements, and it's not the right decision. We believe that they should actually sell off Yahoo's core business and just keep the holdings from Alibaba and create something new and fresh, like I said before, something that gets the shareholders excited, something that gets the stock market excited, and something that gets Silicon Valley excited. And then after that, they're really going to have to just begin to gather feedback, and then once they get that feedback, they're really going to have to decide on their ultimate idea by following up with different investors, different shareholders, the board of investors. All we know right now is Marissa really needs to make some changes. Her future at the firm is questionable. I think this is going to be the biggest decision she's made in the past, and I think it's going to be the biggest decision she makes throughout her entire career. I think that it is a bit nerve-wracking knowing that just her, her personality. She is one of those go-getting personalities. She likes to be in charge. And that worries me that if she's going to make the right decision, or if she's going to make a decision that really allows her to stay in charge of Yahoo. So it'll be interesting. I think we'll see a decision within the next few months, and I think it'll be a top story in Silicon Valley.
All right, thanks for walking us through that.
Absolutely.
Today we have one of the former employee of Yahoo just left. And can you tell a little bit about Marissa Maier's use of power?
Yeah, so first of all, there's no doubt that she's expert at what she does. She definitely has power in that regard. She was a Stanford graduate, has a very successful career overall, especially with Google. She made a lot of moves there. She's even considered the 16th most powerful businesswoman in the world. And, you know, a lot of people have said if anyone could fix a problem, it's Marissa. So you can't doubt that she's expert. And at Yahoo, she also has a lot of legitimate power being president and CEO of the company. So, I mean, there's a lot of weight that comes with that position, and a lot of power that comes with that position, and a lot of people who believe in her because of it. But she would also use coercive power quite a bit, which is she was very punishing and liked to put people down who didn't agree with her ideas. If someone didn't really do something well or didn't have an idea that agreed with hers, she would not have a problem saying, you know, something along the lines of that was stupid or not as good as my idea. And she was just all work and no play, which just wasn't really a good style for power. And a lot of people describe her as almost a tyrant, so it's not a very good use of power, in my opinion.
So you mean that her usage of power is effective, right?
You might think that, but I think it was effective use just because she would intimidate people to the point where things would get done fairly well, fairly efficiently. I just think that it's probably not the best way to do it.
And how do you think, how does she influence the followers?
She would mostly use pressure to influence. She was very intimidating and had very high demands for all of her employees. She just liked to put people on a schedule, and they had to stick exactly to that schedule. So she would just use a lot of intimidation and humiliation to, you know, try and influence and try and sway them. But I didn't think that was very effective. That didn't work as well as her power tactic. They say that pressure is the least effective to use, and that obviously showed. It was more so just her instilling fear than influencing people.
Yeah. Do you think would she encourage organizational politics?
Yeah, she definitely did, because she tried to expand her base of power as much as she could on every little project, whether it be micromanaging or anything along those lines. So although her goals mostly did align with the company's, you know, she would kind of do whatever she had to do to meet those goals. So she definitely encouraged that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope we were able to teach you a little bit about the culture at Yahoo and how it was affected by Marissa Maier, as well as her power and influence over her employees, her leadership theories, and her ability to make important decisions and how they affected the rest of her workers. And we also hope you enjoyed learning about Marissa overall as a leader and how to learn from her going forward.